Incredible! Ukraine's triumph, the armed forces of Ukraine are accomplishing the impossible. The front is breaking and the enemy is losing control. Ukrainian forces are advancing. Step by step, the blue and yellow flag rises. What is happening at the front is astonishing, and the enemy is drowning in their own defeats. UKM-3, equipment, Russian manpower, all for nothing. The armed forces of Ukraine act precisely, swiftly, and unbreakably. Retribution is inevitable, even deep within Russia's rear. Hell is unfolding. All the details right now. Greetings, this is Ukraine Today. I am Solomia Dolik, and here are the latest events. Step by step, Ukraine is reclaiming what is its own. A new flag appears on the map of freedom in Donetsk region. Ukrainian paratroopers continue to advance successfully. Units of the 82nd Separate Air Assault Brigade have liberated the village of Suketska. In the Pokrovsk district, they entered the settlement and raised the Ukrainian flag. Let's take a look at how it happened. During the assault, Ukrainian soldiers engaged in a fierce battle with the Russian occupiers. More than 60 people. The outcome of the battle is impressive. 44 enemies were killed, 8 wounded, and 9 surrendered as prisoners. The village of Suketska is located between the towns of Rodinske, Biletske, and the village of Suvora in the Dubropil district. This is another important settlement. Ukrainian paratroopers have once again proven themselves. They act precisely, quickly, and fatally for the enemy. Meanwhile, other units of the armed forces of Ukraine are holding the defense on neighboring fronts. Fresh news from Donetsk region. Ukrainian soldiers repelled an assault by Russian troops in Volodymyrivka. The Russian occupiers launched an offensive from the direction of Novotoretsk, but instead of breaking through, they got stuck in the mud. And while their equipment was ingloriously bogged down, our F-5 drones began a real hunt and finished off the enemy with fire strikes from our systems, HIMARS. As a result, there were significant losses among Russian equipment and personnel. According to the 33rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, the assault in Volodymyrivka was completely repelled. The Russian attack ended right where it began, in the mud. It couldn't have been otherwise. Strike after strike, another buck is out of action. Scouts from the Chorny Lis Brigade detected and adjusted fire on another enemy Buk-M3 SAM launcher. This is a complex system, one of the key components of the enemy's air defense, worth about $45 million. This is yet another important element of their defense. It has been put out of action, and this weakens the enemy's ability to cover their aviation and missile strikes. Let's take a look at how it happened. while one Buk M3 has turned into a pile of scrap metal, other units of the armed forces of Ukraine are not standing idle. On the sidelines, in the Zaporizhia region, the drones of the 65th Separate Mechanized Brigade continue to destroy the enemy. As a result of precise strikes, 3 vehicles, an armored fighting vehicle, 1 occupier, 3 cannons, and 2 trucks were destroyed. The Russians are trying to step up their activity on this section of the front, but our guys are giving a worthy response. And here is another fierce operation, this time in the Siversk direction. The Apache unit, with the help of drones, neutralized 6 enemy units that were trying to break through the defense. The Russians are increasing their activity, but our soldiers respond without mercy. Meanwhile, in the Zaporizhia direction, Ukrainian intelligence delivered a precise strike on the occupiers. During the operation, Gor fighters destroyed the positions of Russian drone operators near the village of Plavny. Among those eliminated was Lieutenant Vasily Marzoyev, commander of a platoon in the 108th Air Assault Regiment of the Russian Army. He is the son of Major General Marzoyev, who commands the 18th Army of the Russian Federation and is involved in war crimes in Kherson. The strike was carried out with a guided aerial bomb after precise targeting by our drones. Details of the operation are in the video.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Russian equipment is sinking in the mud and their assaults are drowning in their own defeats. While the occupiers are unsuccessfully trying to attack, the armed forces of Ukraine are moving into the offensive. Our defenders are accomplishing what seemed impossible. In just one day, Ukrainian soldiers recaptured 3 settlements from the enemy. See the report for details on how the advance is happening.
Seemingly impossible. In a single day to take back as many as 3 Ukrainian villages from the Russian army. We're talking about the settlement of Sukitske and 2 more villages in the Dobropilia direction, Kucheryavy Yar and Uyut. Thus, as of August 21st, 2025, the situation in this area has been stabilized. Control has been restored over 9 settlements and another 9 have been cleared of enemy sabotage groups. In just the last 10 days, 1,756 enemy servicemen have been eliminated here, as well as 75 units of enemy equipment. The occupiers also suffered huge losses in their attempt to break through the Ukrainian front on the neighboring forward section. Thus, the soldiers of the 33rd Brigade repelled a massive mechanized assault in the area of Volodymyrivka, Donetsk region. During the battle, the weather conditions were poor, which did not play in the occupiers' favor. At least 3 armored vehicles. The enemy got stuck in the mud, and the infantry that began to disembark from the vehicles came under fire from artillery and drones. At one point, even HIMARS joined in to repel the Russian attack. As a result of the battle, the enemy lost 3 armored vehicles destroyed, 3 drowned, and most of their infantry unaccounted for. However, the Russian army does not give up hope of breaking through our defenses, even on a single section of the front, at any cost, even if it means hundreds or thousands of their soldiers killed.
Every day, essentially, there is information that the armed forces there, they pushed the enemy out locally there, they liberated territory. In all directions, basically, they are repelling large-scale enemy attacks. Every day, in different directions, there are dozens of attacks per day.
The enemy is especially trying to drive the Ukrainian armed forces out of Pokrovsk, turning it into hell. Enemy sabotage groups are storming the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces there around the clock, non-stop for the past several days. The situation in this direction remains extremely difficult for the Ukrainian armed forces. However, despite all the efforts of the enemy, our defenders courageously hold their defense. Pokrovskaya.
The Pokrovskaya defense has been holding for more than a year. More than a year, I think. And the defense, well, how many thousand Russians? Did someone die there? Well, losses of over 200,000. These are official confirmations. Losses in numbers by foreign intelligence agencies. Another point is how much Russian equipment, even Russian generals, have been lost in this sector in Hektanik.
The Pokrovsk direction is the main topic of conversation for Russian propaganda. But when it comes to their so-called achievements on other sections of the front, Kremlin propaganda tries not to spread that information. On TV across the border, it's unlikely they'll show footage like this. Just minutes after spotting them, the border guards from the Guard Brigade's reconnaissance and strike UAV groups destroy yet another enemy position. As a result, the occupiers lost at least 2 of their tanks, a vehicle, an antenna, electronic warfare equipment, and a significant portion of their personnel in the southern Slobozhanshchina direction. Despite everything, the Russians have failed to achieve any significant victories either on the ground or in the air. The only thing the occupiers are good at is creating weapons of mass terror against civilians. A vivid example of this is the barbaric raid on Vitriaki near Kramatorsk. These are civilian critical infrastructure facilities. In this way, the Russians destroyed the 3rd wind power station in Kramatorsk. Before this, the occupiers attacked the wind turbines on October 22nd and 24th. Endless air raids on Ukrainian cities may become the Kremlin's new tactic. For this purpose, Russia is actively testing new and newer types of its own drones. For example, UAVs with a ring wing. An unusual enemy drone was detected by a Ukrainian anti-aircraft drone. Its exact purpose has not yet been determined. However, it is assumed that it can perform both reconnaissance and strike missions. Overall, in just the past week, the enemy sent at least 1,200 drones toward Ukraine, dropped more than 1,360 glide bombs, and used over 50 missiles of various types. Every Russian strike is an attempt to inflict as much damage as possible on ordinary life. This week, these are strikes on residential buildings, on our people, on children, and on civilian infrastructure. These are the main targets for the Russians. Thousands of strikes with various types of weapons in just 1 week. However, military analysts assure that Ukraine's response to Russian terror is also not far off.
Ukraine was, is, and will be, sooner or later. Sooner or later, Ukrainian Tomahawks will inevitably meet Russian decision-making centers.
And while the American Tomahawks are still on their way, the security service of Ukraine has shown off its own new acquisitions.
We are handing over this wonderful Mavka UAV, which has already achieved a number of victories.
The drone was purchased with donations from Ukrainians as part of a large-scale fundraising campaign that included domestic artists, influencers, and athletes.
This Magura Strike Marine drone is the first in the world to have destroyed aerial targets.
Thanks to just one such advanced and highly effective marine drone, the occupiers can potentially suffer truly colossal and devastating losses, which the SSU has promised to report in their official updates and communications in the near future. In the upcoming video reports.
And how do you assess the resilience and steadfastness of our defenders? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button under the video, and stay updated on the main news together with me. There's more to come. See you in the next segment.